Well, it is time for halftime conversation with Jason Carpenter, the new head ladies basketball coach, new AD at South Georgia Tech. Our first opportunity to talk. Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Robert. Thanks for having me.
I want to go back. I mean, since this is the first conversation, we got to get a little biography on Jason Carpenter. So let's go back in time. I mean, we won't go to the very start, but let's start with the basketball. I mean, what is it that originally drew you to basketball, your prep career, college career, and then got you into coaching?
Well, basketball as a kid was a passion of mine. It was something I loved, and I was fortunate enough to have some family members that were into coaching, which kind of drew me to the idea. So I knew pretty early that coaching is what I wanted to pursue in some way. I wasn't necessarily sure of the level of where I wanted to be, whether that was high school or college, but I knew being in the gym. I'm from the Northeast, up in upstate New York, and it's much nicer to be in a 70-degree gym during the winter months than it is to be doing anything outside up there. So I knew that was the path I was eventually going to take, and I'm fortunate enough to have had success and opportunities to do that along the way.
Now, often, not always, but a coach is a former player. Did you also play the game? And if you did so, at what level?
I played at a junior college after high school in upstate New York, a small junior college, Division III. I like to say I'm a better coach than I am a player, and I say that humbly because I don't know how good a coach I am necessarily. But it was a passion of mine. I coaching in being in the game in that capacity, I knew long term was going to be a much more serious route for me. So I played for 2 years, and then when I transferred out to go to the 4-year college, I walked into a situation where the head coach at that 4-year school was new, and so I approached him about, hey, can I join the staff as a student assistant at the college level? And luckily for me, he took me on and gave me that opportunity. So I've been coaching at the college level in some capacity since I was 19, 20 years old.
Oh, so you've been doing that for what, 5 or 6 years now, or
Yeah, well, actually, this is my 20th year of coaching.
20? Wow. Okay. Well, hey man, you don't look like you've been in it 20 years, so that's a good sign. Now, well, then with a lot of coaches, it's a transition from player to coach, and sometimes that is difficult. But for you, it wasn't that way. I mean, you knew as a player that coaching was the direction you wanted to go.
Yes, yep, absolutely. Um, Having someone in the family kind of gave me that, inside baseball, I guess, so to speak, look at it. And, I understood the challenges, but I also, I saw the fun and the passion that brings out of you. And I just knew that if, given the opportunity, that's, the career I would choose to pursue.
All right. So you are from the Northeast. You played in the Northeast, began coaching in the Northeast. So we got to know how you made your way to Georgia.
Well, my first stop out of there was actually down in Rome, Georgia, at Georgia Highlands. I had an opportunity to come down and be a part of Brandon Harrell's program on the women's side at Georgia Highlands, and that transition was the men's coach there was the coach I had played for in college in the Northeast. So he had come down and kind of started that whole athletics program, and he had hired Brandon. And so I came down and joined his staff at Georgia Highlands.
Well, it's kind of interesting and almost ironic because Brandon is also the coach that started the ladies basketball program at South Georgia Tech.
Yes, yes, it is ironic. It is ironic, and again, it's an honor. Brandon's a very good friend. He's a great person, and a heck of a basketball coach. And it was a heck of an opportunity for me to get down here and learn from him. And it's an honor to be a part of a program now in this capacity that he started.
Okay, so we're almost to Americus. What got you from Rome, Georgia, in the northern part of the state down to Americus in the southern part?
Well, after that 1 year with Brandon, the men's coach that was at Georgia Highlands at the time, he accepted a position down at Gulf Coast State on the men's side. Um, and at that time down at Gulf Coast, Rooney Scovel, who's just got inducted into the Women's Basketball Coaching Hall of Fame, she was down there, and it ended up being her last year. So when he went down, I took the opportunity. I was originally going to go help him, and I did, but I also was able to get an opportunity to sit on her bench and be a part of that program on the women's side as well. So I was doing both while I was down there for a little bit. So and then stuck around there for a few years. I actually bounced back to Georgia Highlands. They had a heck of a team, and you could see the writing on the wall that was going to be a pretty successful year. So I called Brandon back up, said, "Hey, can I come be a part of this?" So I went back up there, and we did have a great year. We actually took the team to the national championship game. Fortunately, lost. And then I went back down to Panama City and Gulf Coast. I was on the men's side before this opportunity arose. So I bounced around a little bit between Georgia and Panama City last few years.
So is this your first head coaching stint?
No, I was a head coach in New York prior to coming south for nine years at a junior college up there. Very successful. I think my record was 232-50 as a head coach.
Wow.
We had been to 4 Final Fours. I had a national championship game appearance. We lost, unfortunately, there. So I was looking to move up the ladder as far as junior college. There was a Division III up in the Northeast. That's kind of the model in the Northeast.
Is that a difficult transition, though? It seems as a head coach it would be difficult to, and I hate to say step down, because as you mentioned, it was an opportunity for you to eventually step back up. But is it difficult from the standpoint of, as head coach, you're basically in charge of everything? Everything you say goes. That's not true as an assistant.
That is, yes, it's an accurate assessment. I tried to approach it as bringing head coach experience and a mentality to being an assistant, understanding what it's like to be the guy who's calling the timeouts and who's making the decisions and being supportive of that. And I'm humble enough to understand that there's lots of ways to do things. And I wanted the opportunity to learn. I had been doing things a specific way, and we'd had some success, but I wanted to learn. I wanted to see what other people did, how they approached it. And I've taken quite a bit from Coach Harrell and from Coach Scoville, and I also worked with Coach Petrie, who replaced Coach Scoville on the women's side. And each of them, I think, helped me grow as a coach, and have made me see the game in slightly different ways and challenge my own thinking. So I saw it as an opportunity. Hopefully Brandon appreciated the help. He brought me back a second time, so I think he must have a little bit.
So you stepped from head coaching to assistant coaching, now back to head coaching. What made this the right time to get back to that head coaching spot?
South Georgia Tech, in my opinion, is one of the best jobs in the country. And I said that, prior to being in this seat, I think it's a place, obviously, where Coach Frey had a lot of success, and that's attributed to him. But I think it's also attributed to the culture here at the college. The support that we have, the community support that we have here, and the location matters. You're in Georgia. There's a good brand of basketball here, but we're close enough to continue to get into Florida and challenge the Panhandle Conference at times. And so for me, this was a no-brainer when this job opened up. I knew I had to at least take the opportunity to apply.
Did you know that when you took over the head coaching job that you were also going to become an AD?
It was in the job description. Yeah, I knew that. I had when I was a head coach in New York, I was an assistant to the AD. So I had done a lot of this stuff. I filed eligibility, and if I wasn't doing it, I was at least aware of the processes and how it was going. So that didn't necessarily intimidate me. Being the basketball coach is my passion. Certainly, but being the athletic director is something I can handle.
All right, let's bring it to 2023-24 as the head coach at South Georgia Tech, the Lady Jets. What's an acceptable year to you? I mean, 232-50 as a head coach, that is very impressive. So I'm assuming that you as a head coach don't like losses. But of course, who does? But on the other hand, it does seem like some programs are more accepting of such. You obviously not. So what's acceptable?
Well, I don't like losing very much at all, to be honest with you. I think we have to be fair about the situation and the circumstances here. I got the job in August, and so we're taking players that didn't know they were going to be playing for me in my system, in my style, and putting me on them, and so it's been a challenge. We're 8-6 right now, currently as we're moving, but certainly well in the hunt for a conference championship, and that is ultimately the goal: win the conference and take this team to the national tournament. As far as the program, yeah, we have very high expectations of where we want to take this. Fortunately, Coach Frey left me almost no space on the wall to hang banners out there. He did it so often. So, I knew I had big shoes to fill from a winning standpoint, but certainly my own personal expectations for myself would have been very high standards going forward, and especially given the opportunity here at South Georgia Tech.
Let me follow on the question about what is acceptable with, and to me it is, or at least can be, a very different question. And it is, what is not acceptable as the first year coach there at South Georgia Tech?
Yeah. Well, about a week ago, I would have told you losing a conference game probably wouldn't have been acceptable, since it hadn't been done in quite a while here. But we took a loss the other day to a very good East Georgia team. And so it's a tribute to how good they are this season in particular. But I think getting through this conference and being the champion in the end is ultimately going to be the goal. And anything less of that, in my opinion, would have been I don't want to use the word failure, but we would have come up short.
Well, let me say too, East Georgia, not only a good team, that is one of the most difficult environments to play in. I mean, that is such an unusual, it's a gorgeous facility,
Oh, yes.
but it really is a difficult venue.
It definitely is different. It's very, very open, which can mess with depth perception a lot of times, and it's naturally lit. So it's definitely a different environment, but I like going in challenging environments and playing, and I hopefully our players will get to a point where they like it as well. They didn't like it too much last weekend, but we've still got a lot of the conference ahead of us. We're only 2 games in at this point.
Coach, thanks so much for allowing us the opportunity to chat with you. And let me say, too, that I have, and I'm just not just saying this, I've been very impressed. A lot of these players I saw a year ago, you have really pulled a lot of the talent that I didn't see 12 months ago out of some of the ladies that are playing this year. I've been impressed with that. Good luck through the season, and thanks for being our guest.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I'll talk to you again soon.